this doctor just peeled the blanket away, and then he sort of looked at my burns and he looked up at another doctor and he just shook his head like that. And as a child, you absorb body language more than I think words sometimes. And I was really receptive to that. And that was when dread sort of like went over me, like, oh, these people can't help me. So then next thing I knew, they were putting me back into the ambulance and they were rushing me up to St Mary's Hospital in London. From there, I was taken to a special burns unit. And then the nurse ended up losing her patience with me. And she said, if you don't take this medicine, I'm going to have to force it down your throat with a syringe. And that made me even more angry. I was like, oh, no, you're not. I was like, no, you're not. And I was like, you can't do that. No, not happening. So all these adult doctors and nurses were like, what do we do? And my mum was like begging me. And then the most traumatizing part here is that they ended up pinning me down on the bed. They pinned me down with my legs and my arms. And I screamed the whole hospital down, no, 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 no. And they just syringed it down my throat. And I remember the gurgle, as it's going in me. And then all of a sudden I'm out. When I came back, when I was like waking up from the surgery, my mom was by my side and I was coming in and out of consciousness. And obviously there was the drugs, but because I've been dreaming that I was with aliens or I'd gone somewhere else, another planet, and I was like coming out, all I could see was my mum, like a million of my mum. So then I was like, Mum, is that you? And she was like, yeah, it's me. And I was like, you know, I thought that my mum was an alien. I thought that we were somewhere else. I was like, Mum, how many eyes have you got? Because she had like all these eyes. And she was like laughing, going, just two, darling. And I was just like going in my sleep. And then I'd wake up and I'd look at her again and I'd be like, Mum, how many noses have you got? And she was like, just one. And then I kept asking, like, tell me it's you, you know, is that you? Or are you an alien now? Like, I was so confused. And then when I finally came around, she was just like so happy to see me. And I was just, you know, okay, I'm back, I'm here, Mum's here, you know. And then from that moment, I went on a healing and recovery journey, which I think I mentioned before. I was really depressed.